Hello Pisces friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Pisces, October 2020, Astrology Must Knows. In October, we've got a lot of things to talk about, so I'm just going to go right down my list here, and the first thing on the list is that we have 2 full moons this month. This is a very notable time because obviously it's kind of rare that that occurs, and when there's a second full moon, either in a sign or a calendar month, the second one is called a blue moon. So Halloween, Samhain, All Hallows Eve, whatever you celebrate, that point at the end of the month is going to be very extra magical and mystical and intense. And because the planet Uranus has a role to play here, because Uranus is actually at the same degree as the moon, and that's going to be really intense. So expect a lot of jostling surprises associated with that full moon. Now, because of the angle, it could be a stressful surprise, but it can also be something positive that's like a jolt that you feel, but that creates a breakthrough. Okay, so we've got some areas that are highlighted this month from the energy of these full moons. The first has to do with your physical body, your health, your recognition, your your relationship with your body and your physicality. All of those things are kind of going under the microscope and are getting blown up in a big way, for better or worse. And this sometimes can mean recognition, because when people are looking at you, which can be this energy, you're being known for something. People are acknowledging you. And sometimes that acknowledgement is really positive, like you get recognition for something that you did or how you are, but sometimes that recognition or that acknowledgement can be challenging. So be extra careful with what you're putting out or saying, as the odds of becoming infamous are just as likely as the odds of being famous for something. And infamous is a word that we use to mean famous, not in a good way. So just be really careful in the beginning, especially the beginning and the end of the month, with things that you're doing or putting out there or saying publicly, because there's just so much intensity around this. Now, the second area that's highlighted for Pisces this month, either from one or both of these moons, depending on your exact placement, has to do with your finances. So some kind of financial drama or breakthrough, some kind of topic with your self-sufficiency or your finances or how you handle your money or just your income or something having to do with money is going to be strongly featured this month, especially at these moon times. Okay, so the second thing on my list to talk about has to do with this very strong energy in Libra and Scorpio this month. This happens every time at this point in the year as the planets move through these signs, the personal planets. And these bring very strong focus to the energy of relationships. And that's true for everyone in the zodiac. But for Pisces, it's doubly true, because for you all, you have energy of relationship from the sign perspective also in the house. Okay, so houses in astrology are fields of experience that we have as humans. And for Pisces, this is going to feature the energy of partnership, not just through the sign that is true for everyone, but also through house placements. Okay, so extra focus on relationships. Now, there's a mixed bag of energies here. There's the first thing to know is that we do have another Mercury retrograde. Okay, so we've got from October 13th through November 3rd, we have Mercury retrograde in Scorpio going back to Libra. All right, again, these are planets that focus on relationships. So you've got the houses accentuated, you've got the signs accentuated, you've got a Mercury retrograde accentuated with a very strong focus on the water sign. Now, if you think back to June and July, we had a similar experience. And don't panic, because I know June and July were super intense, and this may or may not carry the same intensity, but we had the eclipses in June and July, and we don't have that going on just yet. So it might be a little bit lighter, but we had a Mercury retrograde in Cancer at that time. So this very strong extended focus on the energy of water brings a lot of emotion. Now, fortunately for Pisces, this all makes a beautiful aspect for you. Okay, so this is making a nice angle to your placement. but all of the energy of emotion reaches excess. Sometimes it places water where it shouldn't be, as far as flooding or storms or excess emotion or overreactions or things like that. But sometimes it can be ecstatic bliss. Okay, so we'll hold the vision for that, right? And we do have also this energy of Venus that is moving through Virgo, which for you is again in the partnership houses. Okay, so Virgo Venus is going to do something very special this month. It's going to trine, make the most fabulous aspect in all of astrology, these outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus. So most of our outer planet movements are through earth signs. And this month, Venus, the ruler of love and beauty and money and self-esteem, is going to kiss those placements, and it's going to be featured in your relationship space. So while there's an increased chance for drama and strife within your relationships, there's also an increased chance for resolutions and sweet, happy outcomes to come from walking through whatever you have to walk through to get there. There's also a focus on this energy of relationships that have to do with you and other people within money, okay? So we talked about the money sector that's highlighted by the moons, the full moons. But this is separate. This is additional. And this has to do with shared money. So getting loans, paying off debt, getting lines of credit, anything having to do with borrowing or loaning or paying off or taxes, that's also receiving a very strong focus at this time. So if you have any matters pending in those areas, you might see them come to the forefront at this time. So the energy of self versus others and the setting of boundaries and your individual pursuits versus your relationships and your relationship demands or goals, those are going to clash quite a bit this month. But again, like we said, there's this, possible energy of resolution coming from the kisses that are coming from Virgo Venus. All right, so Mercury retrograde tends to bring changes to plans, uncertainty, and confusion. For that reason and a bunch of other reasons, trying to schedule travel or schedule anything important during October and November is going to have quite a few challenges to it. Okay, now if it's something you can't get out of and you have to make your plans, then follow your flow, follow your intuition, and just trust the flow. But do know that many things planned in October into November are going to be canceled or significantly changed. Also, October and November are very important spots in this whole point of transition of 2020. 2020 is a year of transition, and October and November are like the final culminations before the energies start to break towards the end of November and into December. Into December, Saturn and Jupiter move into Aquarius. So we've had this year of restriction with these personal planets moving through kind of stodgy Capricorn. And then as we move into the Aquarius energies, the new, the innovative, the open energies will start to come back. I know right now it seems like restrictions are never going to end, but they are, and things are going to shift, and we are going to step into a more open space into next year in many ways. And you'll feel that starting like towards the end of November into December, but here in October, we're at that like culmination point. So this month into the beginning of November is like representative of what this year is in our history, which is a point of transition. It's very important to really feel into this energy of what I'm meaning by transition, okay? We know what the definition of transition is, but I want to illustrate something to help you understand this deeper, because it's going to be a very profound time in our history. And you'll see this in your individual experiences and in the global experience. The word transition, when used in childbirth, is actually a technical term that relates to the time when the baby is about to come out. Okay, so transition means the cervix is getting to full dilation, and it could be a matter of moments, and sometimes someone's transition could be a little bit longer, or a lot longer, but it's like the birth is imminent. And in that time, when the woman is about to give birth to a human, the miracle of life, usually she says, and this is how midwives or obstetricians or people know, wow, okay, she's in transition. This is in this phase of the childbirth. it's because she says things like, I can't do it. There's no way. What it feels like it's completely impossible. Like it was never done before. It's not going to be done now, and it can never be done again. And then right after that, the baby pops out. And everybody, people who are men, women, people who will never birth an actual child, are always experiencing these phases of birth and transition through the creation process, which is part of what we're here to experience. And so this month, October into November, is like that point where we say, people don't do this. Humanity is a lie. There's no way that this is going to happen. I can't do this. And this is a scary point, but this is a magical point, because what happens from there is the surrender. And the surrender opens up to the new possibilities, which births the new experience. And that's what we're standing on, the precipice of this massive change. And there's so much that's wrapped up into the high emotion and the deep probing and the major questions and the stress and anxiety and building. So this month is very much going to be like that. And so you can choose to fear that moment, or you can choose to know it's a speck of a moment in the course of a flow that's going to pass, and it can be completely alchemical. So I invite you to claim the energy of alchemy in this month, and just know that you're going to have to walk through fears, us individually and us together, our individual fears, our collective fears. We're going to have to walk through that. That's going to happen this month. Things that had been brewing will culminate. Things that may have been buried will come out. This energy of repression and repressed emotion that has been really coming up since the summer or winter for you all down under, basically the June, July, August timeframe in through the rest of the year. And then as Mars has gone retrograde, which Mars is still retrograde, all of this repressed energy is coming out. But the freedom that's on the other side of all of this happening can be so profound that it will be hard to imagine it. Okay, but this month is so critical for that. So, with all that being said now, you can understand why I'm saying it's not the best time to make plans if you don't have to, because you may have to show up for your strong emotions, other people's strong emotions, people being angry and emoting and having all kinds of drama, the uncertainty of things like elections, and all of that is wrapped up in the changes that are about to take place. So it's going to be really intense. But it is a time where it's not best to force anything. So forcing plans, forcing a schedule, forcing anything, any act of aggression, especially from August through into December, will be likely to boomerang back. And this is due to Mars retrograde. Okay, so we still have Mars retrograde here, September 9th through November 14th. October, we're here right in the guts of it. Now, for many people, Mars retrograde can be a time where you coast. Work that you've done before can just set you on a wave where you're just flowing magically. And the degree to which you can follow that beautiful coasting flow, or riding that wave, as I like to also describe it, can depend on how much you pay attention to how you're using your energy. See the ways it's not working, pull back, reassess, and go with the flow. All right, so if you're trying to force something through, it's not working, you recognize it, you stop, you say, this path looks much easier, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Fortunately for Pisces, this is more of a natural way of being. So you have a leg up in that manner, where many Pisces, if they see that they're going this way and there's some obstruction, they stop, they go and kind of flow a different way around it. So that natural way of being can really benefit you here. You just have to pay attention to when it's coming up, because Mars still in Aries is going to make people want to do something, and you might start feeling motivated when you might not have otherwise been motivated. And then when you're trying to push something through with that motivation, the frustration, the keynote of Mars retrograde, can come in, okay? So you can avoid all this by following the flow and readjusting as necessary. Okay, so Jupiter went direct in September, and that is in many ways going to bring a lot of benevolence and help and expansion and optimism back. However, because Jupiter now direct in September and still direct in October is going to start making some angles that it made before that were points of conflict, that were parts of this whole change that has been this year, there are going to be some things that come up in a very big way. But they will be the final chapters of the storyline that began at the end of 2019. Of course, nothing is ever really final, right? We move on to the next thing. But there is a storyline that runs from the end of 2019 to the end of 2020, and we're closing out those chapters now in October, November, into December. Jupiter moving forward brings those into the picture, brings them back into focus, and hopefully will bring some solutions. Okay, so something else that I want to talk about has to do with how we're focused on Libra energies this month, and Libra rules the kidneys. The kidneys are energetically connected with the energy of fear. Okay, I've talked about this often, there are emotions that energetically match with certain organs and muscles and different parts of our body. And there is a system of fear that starts with the adrenals, goes into the kidneys, flows down through the psoas muscles. Okay, psoas muscles are hip flexors that basically are joined at, like the vertebrae in the lower back, and then they come in and join behind the back of the femur bone. Okay, so they're basically like in the back, through the front, in the hip, and they pull your legs up. Okay, so when you're sitting, you're tightening your psoas muscles, and this is really important. Okay, I'm going to get back to that. But so it goes from the psoas muscles, also in the piriformis. Piriformis is a muscle that is in your hips. It's a small muscle, but it's the one that's responsible for things like sciatica, okay, which is also a fear response. And then it goes down the legs into the knees, and there's this energy of fear that goes down to the knees and then out down the feet, with, again, like the fear of moving forward or foot injuries or things going on. So there's this fear complex that runs through these body parts. And one of the big sectors of that is ruled by Libra. So there is going to be, for this reason and other reasons that I've already talked about, a very strong fear response in individuals and in the global community at this time. And there are ways that you can help to shift your experience of fear. One is to stretch the muscles that are involved in this, because you'll notice these psoas muscles, they get super tight, and that is part of a fear response. And so if you look up ways, psoas is spelled P-S-O-A-S. Look up ways to stretch your psoas muscle. Now, if you have, brittle bones or, something that goes on with your hips that medically you have to be careful of, you of course want to be careful and maybe have a practitioner assist you with this, because it can be kind of intense. But stretching your psoas muscles and stretching your piriformis muscles, P-I-R-I-F-O-R-M-I-S, okay? These two muscles, and your hamstrings also, can really help you to shed and get the fear response from the adrenals that flow down. It gets stuck right in this point. It's like flowing from here, and then it comes to these psoas and piriformis, and then it gets stuck. And then you get stuck in fear. So if you feel literally paralyzed with fear and you see fear coming up, doing regular stretching of these muscles can help the energy, for you feel the fear and it flows out. You feel the fear and it flows out instead of getting stuck. Okay, so in summary, there are some amazing angles that are happening from the water placements, the Scorpio placements, for Pisces this month. It's going to turn on the waterworks, okay? High emotion for better and worse. We are about to step into an eclipse season again. So while we don't have the eclipses until November and December, October is a time where the eclipse rumblings will start. And we've got a lot of different reasons, as I've illustrated, why emotion is going to be high at this time. But with that emotion is also the chance for these new births, for these cracking open of old consciousness, having new experiences, shedding fear, stepping out of even your body shape, You know, a lot of miraculous breakthroughs with weight loss or other things with your physicality can occur this month. So be prepared for intensity, be prepared for plan changes, be prepared for having to face fears and work with that energy, and, you know, be prepared for getting ready for everything to start to crack open and shift soon, plus major crossroads that are going to occur with the eclipses. This is the month that's kind of just vibrating right before then. If you would like to have more information about what this month will be like for you, I have so many resources. Definitely look up my Mars retrograde resources, and you can see these also linked in the notes underneath this video. If you click on the More button with the arrow, all of these links that I'm about to share with you are actually there. Mars retrograde blog, Mars retrograde video. You can search for Annie Botticelli Mars retrograde or use the link below the video. Also, I have Mercury retrograde resources, which you can also find. You can get my written report, including all the sweet days and the salty days of October. And October is a month again where we have double the salty dates or aspects versus the sweet ones. But you'll know exactly what aspect is when and what you can expect from it in my written report when you go to anniehelpsyou.com. Sign up for my free email newsletter. I do not spam you. I only send out a few emails a month, and they're all information based. That gives you more assistance for what's going on in the stars at that time. And you get a write-up delivered 1 month early into your inbox, a very extended explanation of the stars ahead. You can also go to cozybysweetstarlight.com to get my written horoscopes that are much more simplified than my video reports. And there's also beautiful pictures and lifestyle blogs for healthy living at cozybysweetstarlight.com. You can check out my free courses at Luminous Life Multiversity, which is my school, which is lumelife.com, L-U-M-E, life.com. And if you love how I explain astrology and you want to study more, either to become a professional astrologer or to use it for your own personal purposes, you can see my course, Becoming a Professional Astrologer, Mastery Course. That's one of my paid courses at my school, lumelife.com. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.